Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Prep Time. I'm Justin Barrientos at Cotter High School here in Winona as we bring you two stories. One is on Cotter Activities Director Jenny Carpenter, and the other is on Cotter sophomore volleyball and softball player Alex Strelow.
I just know that I'm inspired by her.
She is strong and one of the most courageous people I know.
She's really a source of inspiration for our team.
I don't imagine I could encounter a more courageous young woman.
But she's very gracious.
She's a pretty tough kid.
I don't know of anyone who has resilience quite like she has.
I had Alex as an athlete for the first time last year on the JV softball team, and I was so impressed with how she grew as an athlete last year. And by the end of the season, she was, on the varsity playoff roster and contributing and getting geared up for her summer season with the varsity program, and she was doing really great.
Alex Strelow approached the summer before her sophomore year like she had approached any other summer. She played in the Cotter marching band, she played softball with the Winona Windstars, she attended volleyball camps. Then the unthinkable happened.
Well, we were practicing over there, and I of course always dove for the ball, getting it in the outfield, and I hit my head, and then I thought it was just my neck getting all swelled up, and then for weeks after that, my neck just got really big and I couldn't breathe too well. I kept on coughing and getting sick every day. And then it wasn't until June, I think, where I was playing softball at my home team for a tournament, and I couldn't breathe.
We had taken her into the emergency room a couple times, and they thought maybe it was a goiter, and she twisted her neck when she fell at softball, so they didn't think anything of it. And you took her to the emergency room a second time, and they said to take her to her pediatrician, and they took some scans and they found out that it was Hodgkin's lymphoma.
And then I started on treatments for 2 weeks, and then I went home for a few weeks. And then I just kept on doing that for at least 6 months with radiation and chemo and everything.
It can't be real. She's an athletic girl, she eats well, how can this happen?
That weekend she came off the Winona tournament. We started off the season for the summer, and she was at the top of her game. She was just playing all-star all weekend. So when she didn't show up for the game, which happened to be in Rochester on Monday, the girls were just dumbfounded. Where's Alex? She was in the hospital right by the field.
I guess I didn't know what the percent of surviving level was on that because I'd really never heard of it before. And I don't know, I think I was really depressed for a long time, and I really didn't want to talk to anyone, and I really wasn't for sure if I was ever going to go to school for a while or anything.
Alex would spend the rest of her summer and the first part of the school year in the hospital and had to undergo 12 weeks of chemotherapy and 6 weeks of radiation. She was allergic to some of her chemo drugs. She lost weight. Her hair fell out. She had to have 3 surgeries to get a power port in her chest to work properly. But there was one moment during her darkest hours that helped pull her through.
The one thing that was weird is that when I was in radiation, I was just closing my eyes, so I wouldn't get sick as usual. And I opened my eyes and looked above me, and it was just a transparent hand above me, and I closed them and reopened them, and it was gone. So, yeah.
Normally there's nurses coming in and out of the room, and she closed her eyes and she was praying.
They have a mask permanently made for that holds her upper body in place, and so you can't move or anything, and so her eyes were closed.
She was praying and she opened her eyes, and she said she saw a white hand above her. It was transparent, and she wasn't scared. She just looked at the hand, and she said she looked around to see if anyone was around, and no one was there. And she looked back up, and she said the hand disappeared. And I told her that since this all started in June, every day I prayed that God would wrap his arms around her and place his healing hands on her.
Alex was able to start going back to school in October and tried hard to keep up with her schoolwork.
She went through chemo and lots of the ill effects of chemo, and yet she was always just very conscious of bringing homework to me. I'll get you this tomorrow. I'll do this. I read this.
She was always so frustrated She'd be very, very sick from the treatments, but be really mad that she couldn't be at school. You know, and her parents would sort of have to hold her back and keep her at home, and she never wanted to fall behind. She didn't want any special considerations, you know, no like give me an extra 3 months or, you know, she really, really stayed up on top of it.
Well, anytime she was in school and she was in school for a full day, everybody was excited about that. And then a day or two later, she'd be out because she was in Rochester or she wasn't feeling well. And we just, you know, you kind of have that collective sigh of, oh my gosh, she's not here again. But every time she showed up and she was here longer and longer and longer, everyone was excited.
She missed a lot of school from August to October. We basically homeschooled her, and the teachers were wonderful, letting us know what to do. And she came back in October part-time, and I mean, they've rearranged their schedules to help her, and they've been wonderful.
Then, finally, on November 20th, 2012, Alex had her final radiation treatment. That meant she could take part in a special tradition.
Ringing the bell is after radiation's done and everything, and I got to ring it after all my treatments were done. And also the president came up for that too, and it meant a lot. It was cool.
I went over to Mayo on her last day of radiation, and so we were all there to cheer her on. Mayo has a little ritual where you ring the bell when you finish radiation. So we were all there when she rang the bell. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009 and went through chemotherapy and radiation, as did Alex. I think that was really helpful to Alex to have somebody say, I know what you're going through. I've been there. I went to Mayo. I rang the bell myself, you know, and so I think that helped her feel I wasn't just saying, oh, I know how it feels, because I know how it feels. And we talked about losing your hair and how as a girl that's really hard to do.
That was pretty hit home to me, because she would help me through everything mostly and everything, and she was, whenever she saw me and everything, she always had to give me a hug and everything.
Strelow's teammates at Cotter, with the Winona WinStar softball team and elsewhere, were also there for her to help hold special sports nights and fundraisers.
You know, it was kids from the high school, people from church, people from Cotter, just special communities in Winona. This town is full of giving people. The support group is unbelievable. We've been very lucky. She's a strong girl, though. You know, if people could keep her mind off what was going on, it was the best thing for her. It was pretty intense for her, but the support group here, like I said, is unbelievable.
And the girls got together and really just to try to put something, they did a silent auction, and just a wonderful night. I think it was really one of the highlights was having Sister Judy come and speak, not only to, you know, our kids, but the visiting parents, and just really brought the place to tears.
And so there's moments like that that were just so incredibly special, seeing her friends rally you know, around her. And same thing with softball. I mean, when we first found out, we had a young lady who played softball with us last year who was from Korea, and I sent her a note because I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not going to know what's going on. And even her heart poured out to Alex and wanted her email and wanted to get in contact with her. And
when we return here on Prep Time, we will continue with our story on Alex Strelow, which will include her return to athletics and her Hodgkin's lymphoma prognosis. That's all next here on Prep Time. Welcome back to Prep Time. We continue with our story of Cotter sophomore Alex Strelow, who was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in June of 2012. She battled chemotherapy and radiation to once again become a full-time student here at Cotter. But more amazing than that, she made her return to the playing field with Cotter softball in March of 2013.
So the fact that, you know, here we are one season later and she has the opportunity, that was her first was okay, you can start working back in. You know, that was really great. The limitations they put on her, they just didn't want her to do live hitting. You know, so in a game against a live pitcher for the chance that, you know, she could get hit by a ball or stuff like that. But, you know, she's still able to keep up on her hitting and practice with, you know, tee work and soft toss work and, you know, a lot of that. And she's been doing great. She's hardly missed a beat.
You know, Alex is a good hitter, and that's something she really wants to do. And I'm sure it's extremely hard. You know, the whole process has been hard for her to have to, you know, miss school and miss sports and just kind of be on the sidelines a lot. But it's a start, you know, just to have her back on the field means a lot to everybody. She's really a source of inspiration for our team. And I think there's a day down the road that Alex is going to be a contributing member on the varsity, and it won't be this year, but just having her with us is just feels great.
Well, I think it'll take some time for her to adjust, and the hardest part is usually getting over the mental side of it and worrying about getting hurt and things like that. But she's a pretty tough kid, well, obviously, and she'll just jump right in and get after it. And it'll take her a while to get some of her skills back, but once she does, she'll be just where she left off. So.
Hopefully just to get back in everything normal again, just doing marching band and everything, pep band, sports, softball, volleyball, and hopefully other clubs and everything, and hanging out with friends more.
But being out here with the girls to be able to play on the field and practice with them, it's been wonderful for her spirit. It's been uplifting totally for her. The team, that's what she needs to heal.
In addition to the fundraisers, the Strelows are thankful for all the support they have received throughout Alex's illness.
Well, we have. This community is the best community in the world. I don't care what you say.
We have Cotter, we have St. Mary's Church, we have our family and friends. Sorry.
Well, a lot of staff and teachers did, and then I got at least probably hundreds of Facebook messages every day wanting how it was and everything.
The students were really supportive of her, and they're really inspired by her. And lots of prayer, different groups prayed for her. One group made a quilt for her, so lots of things where that kind of a story offers all of us the opportunity to go outside ourselves. But it takes a gracious family to receive that. And not all people are able to do that, but her family and Alex particularly have really been great about accepting people's outpouring of support.
But as much as people have given to Alex and her family, they have received as well in the form of inspiration.
Young people, and even some of us older young people, sometimes we take a lot of things for granted, and sometimes we get caught up in our lives. But for the students that we have that have the ability to take a second and take a look and really think about what's going on with Alex and with other cancer survivors and people that are battling it, I would think and hope that they'd be really inspired.
Well, Alex's story is a tremendous story of courage. I mean, it's just hard to believe that a young lady, 16 years old, has to go through the road that she went through. And Mrs. Strelow did a great job of keeping everybody informed, primarily through text message. And I remember reading those messages, and you kind of felt you were with Alex for the journey. And I had a chance to talk to her a few times during the journey, and it's just hard. I mean, there's nothing easy about it. She, had a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, the whole bit, and I'm just so grateful that she made it through and is doing much better.
I treasure her as a special, young woman that I've had the privilege to get to know this year.
How is Alex and her family doing following the treatments?
February 22nd, I'm cancer-free, and I'm going to go back and get more scans done for every 3 months, and then go on from there.
She's kind of a hero to me, and I hope to other people. Just, here's what's in front of me, and I have to go through it, and so I'm going to grit my teeth and go through it.
When she comes to practice, she works hard. You can see her giving 100% of everything that she has, and she's doing a great job. And like I said, we're taking it easy, and the times that she can be here with us, we're making sure she's having fun. She's, like I said, she's going to give you 100% all the time, but making sure she's still doing well, and she's a rock star. She's doing great.
Beautiful young woman, and I just hope that things all work out for her.
Her time will come. She's still got time, and it's all going to work out fine, and she's just got to be patient, which for a young 16-year-old is really hard, and at the same time, I know she's going to make it through the other side and be just fine.
She just wanted to be with her friends, wanted to be back at school, doesn't want to miss out on anything as a young person, so I think that spirit's really going to carry her far.
We appreciate Alex and just want to help her get through whatever she's going through, which is beyond imaginable for the rest of us.
To be able to be out there now and to be a real part of the team, again, it's just her determination just speaks volumes.
Little things don't bother us. Family, survival, our children, that's most important.
Yeah, you don't worry about the small stuff anymore. You just thank God for every day.
Good health.
Alex is confident that she will rejoin her volleyball teammates on the court when that sport starts up for Cotter again in the fall.